Good. Sorry.
Not good.
Sorry, Bobby. Just give us 1 minute here. Is this? No,
You switch something over and a little flat.
I know. I know.
There it is.
Was it over there?
Minimize that.
There you go.
There you go.
Let's do that. And let me get this video.
Doing great.
Good. Go. All right. Good evening. Sorry, we're starting a little late. We had some technical difficulties, but I think we're okay now. So welcome to the regular meeting for Thursday, December 18th, 2025 at 5:30 PM at the Emmett Shockley Administration Building. Mr. Kroll, can you call roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Present.
Mrs. Paez,
Present.
Mr. Roscoe,
Present.
Mrs. Crumley,
Present.
Mr. Crow present.
All right, thank you. On to pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I
Salute the flag, it's the state of New Mexico, is the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Any changes to the agenda
No, Mr. President.
other than the one remove item 10D? The district did not receive information from the attorney, so I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry, my apologies, Mr. President.
So 10D will be struck. All right. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yeah.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Right. On to reports. Any dimming, nothing, just confirming it? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. On to superintendent reports and updates.
Okay, well, again, thank you everybody for your patience for the technical difficulties. I think we thought our power outage didn't affect anything, but I guess it affected our one owl here. We have our second one up. Mr. Turner is gonna be assisting us from home, so Charles, if you can please bring up the enrollment, that's good because Charles can hear over there. That's great. I'll be very brief on these two. We see them monthly. What we've provided here for enrollment is again, a look at our membership data. Remember, membership data is almost like enrollment, again, minus the pre-K students and a few sped students. Enrollment does impact our funding. So what I did want to point out here is we do have an estimated 80th day enrollment. So is kind of the first half of what they use for funding. If you go to the next slide, Charles, with the graph. So what I do want to point out here on this graph, you can see on the bottom in the red box, 24, 25, 25, 26. If you look at the 80th day enrollment, so last year's 80th day enrollment was 4,709. This year's 80th day enrollment was 4,692. That's a positive because we didn't see too much of a change in our 80th day enrollment, or our 80th day membership that impacts enrollment. So that's about 16 students. We were anticipating about a drop of about 44 if the trends were the same as last year. That didn't occur. So the more stable those numbers stay on the 80th and 120th for our membership, the more stable our funding will stay. So we're anticipating a drop of about 44 to 50 students of membership. We only ended up having approximately these 17. So that's going to be a little less hit to our budget next year. So that's positive news. And you can see what I put there on the side for you. Next slide, please. And then again, this is a snapshot of our 80th day membership for kindergartners. Remember, kindergartners, we need to keep an eye on that, whether our overall enrollment is going to be going up or down. So you can see in 24, 25, we had 345 kindergartners, and this year we had 362. So we'll take those extra 17 through our systems. That's a positive as well. Okay. Thank you. Next slide, please, Charles. If you back up, Charles, well, we accidentally skipped over human resources. That might have been, there it is. Click on that. Same report that we've been providing you monthly. Maybe. Let's see. Mr. Turner's computer over there. Not, I probably can ship. Um. Okay, I'm gonna give
Give me
Charles
just a
one more
second,
chance to reload
guys.
this, if I can give you a quick share of what was, there. I will share that we still had, I believe, about 7 sped vacancies. That's been the standard over the last 2 months. I think we had an uptick of 1, there we go, we had an uptick of 1 or 2 teachers, so we had 26 positions open. 7 are sped vacancies. If you click on November, Charles, so we can see last month was 21. So we have had some, they typically get in the middle of the year, some mid-year resignations and retirements. So that's where that's gonna come from, and working to fill that. So I know I kind of went through those enrollment and HR pretty quickly. Any clarifying questions or more information you need on either one of those? Okay. Superintendent activity update, as I always say, I didn't get to say at the start of this meeting because I was doing this tech business. It's great to be a Wildcat, and really around the semester time, I get to see all the great things that are going on with our kids. Got to visit many winter programs, band programs. Got to visit the DHS PAC meeting last night. Got to go spend some time at the New Mexico School Board Association winter meeting with board member Cameron and incoming board member Johnson. Spent a couple of meetings at Rotary and Silver Spikes, getting ready for the legislative session. Had a connect with the superintendent meeting at Deming High School, where we recognized, I think, about 33 perfect attendance students there. So did with the superintendent last week. I encourage, when you see those posted on Facebook, to please join us. And a really great event that I got to attend at the high school was the Deming High School math achievement recognition for the first semester. What a great job Mr. Lozano and his team did with that event. Lot of students, a lot of parents there, really a great event. So great job on that. So those are some of the things that I've been up to, and really just what a wonderful reflection of all the great things going on here in our district.
So, thank you. On to board member recognition.
Okay, well, if board, you can join me here at the front. Mr. Kroll's got something he's gonna hand each of us. Let's all head to the front here. Let's all head to the front. Come right over here, Miss Cameron. Go over here, board. Well, then come take a 2 Diet Coke, Miss Cameron. So again, I have only been here in Deming Public Schools for 6 months. It's been a great 6 months, and I've had an opportunity to work for these 5 wonderful people up here, and one person I get to see often because of Silver Spikes and Rotary during the week is Miss Mary Duke Cameron, and you know, she's a local icon, right? You know, 42 years of service to the district as an educator, and then coming back and serving an additional time here on the school board. You know, starting in the pandemic, helping lead as president that difficult time, and then you know, wrapping up this chapter of service. Ms. Cameron is this evening. So we want to do 2 things. I want everybody to toast to Ms. Cameron, a Diet Coke toast. Okay, and then I'm gonna there we go. Okay, Diet Coke toast, because this is your favorite drink, right, Miss Cameron?
It is.
It is. And so before we present this and take some photos, I know I want to let her colleagues share thoughts as we have our toast to Miss Cameron.
We may not want to hear this stuff.
I do have a long history with Mary.
Go ahead.
So there was a time where I worked under her. She was always kind, respectful, caring about the kids. And so she sits here next to me, and I'm gonna miss you a lot.
Thank you.
I guess we'll go in order.
Yes.
I expressed to Mrs. Cameron directly, how much I appreciate her. And I too will miss having you here, but I know that you'll be here, in the audience. And you have my number, and so I hope you keep in touch. And I really do truly appreciate working with you these
Thank
last
you.
couple of years.
Thank you, Kim.
Been really inspiring. Everything you give back to the community and to teaching in general, we really appreciate it. I couldn't have anybody better. You're an amazing woman, and we really thank you very much for the service you provided to this community and to the district.
Thank you.
I may have known you the longest.
But look,
Since I was a kid, and been around your house, been in the house, fixing stuff and.
Riding
on the cycle-
motorcycles.
On the motorcycles and that kind of stuff, so, want to thank you for your time, on the board and what you've done for us. I think as a board as a whole, you know, we were able to move the district forward and accomplish some stuff, and, even though you're leaving us, we'll continue on and we'll finish out some of that stuff that you got to start. And just make the district a better place, and your experience and what you brought to the table and what you've done for the district is amazing. Not only here while you're sat on the board, but as an educator. You've touched a bunch of lives and a bunch of kids in the many years that you've done this work, so. We're gonna miss you, but you'll be around.
That's right.
About that.
Okay, Ms. Cameron, and we, on behalf of the Liberty Public Schools and the school, board, want to present you with this plaque here. So if you want to tip that, want to wrap around, so Miss Jessica gets some pictures, and thank you so much, Miss Cameron, for everything that you. There we go.
All right, should I not have this Coke? Hold on.
Big smiles. We get a little closer. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
you all so much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know what is the best things I think I have done is work in the schools, and I think, everyone continues to do the work, and then it never goes down, but it goes up. But if it starts going down, I'll be here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's do, since we've got the Diet Coke thing going on,
Okay.
let's get you guys to go this way and everybody hold up their Diet Coke.
Diet Coke, that's yours, Miss Cameron.
Miss Cameron.
Diet Coke toast.
No, mine is.
There.
So go right up there in the front and face me, so then I can get everybody. Yeah.
Where here?
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Here, by myself.
It's probably too bad. It's okay, don't touch anything else.
I didn't touch that.
All right,
Whoops, I'm spilling.
hold them all up. Good job. All right, thank you guys.
We just did a commercial.
That's fine. Always fun.
I just want to say thank you for the board, for our administration, and most of all, for all the support around in the school. I started this school.
I guess so. Nice for you, man.
Server, and then I, substitute and did all lots of things, and I've enjoyed every piece of it, and I hope it does continue. I know it's hard, but when times get hard, and you just have to smile and never bother out there. But most of all, it's to be with y'all, and to, it's just been something that I have, been part of my life, and I appreciate it. And I'll, I did that too. If I get Oh, look at this. This is more.
It wasn't on this one. That's what I did.
I guess it came off.
The Explorer program?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
You didn't see that one. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Carlos.
No problem. Okay, on to public comment. Any individual wishing to speak on agenda items, must sign up prior to the meeting. Once the meeting has started, requests for comments will be done at the discretion of the board. Individuals will be limited to 3 minutes unless a member of the board requests to extend time for the individual addressing the board. And tonight we have one person that signed up, Mrs. Kim Pritt. Like to come on up, ma'am?
Right there, Ms. Kim.
Come on. You don't want, you can stand there or you can,
But we do need you at the microphone, Ms. Perea, because, the live stream. We appreciate it.
people can hear you. There you go.
There you go.
All right, so I'm here because, I saw some of the items on the agenda. I saw report cards and I really didn't know like what was gonna be discussed. But I saw report cards and achievement, what can we do to make our schools better so we have better outcomes? And so 3 minutes is enough for me to tell you what that would entail, but I would like to say that should come from teachers. I think you should have a committee of teachers who tell you what it's gonna take to have better outcomes for our kids. Doesn't come from the state, it doesn't really come from the district either, it should come from the classroom, should come from teaching standards. And I have a lot to say about that, and some of you know that already. Even parents know that already, how I feel about education. And if you do form a committee, if you take me up on that, even though I did retire in May after 36 years, I would love to be on a committee to help guide you into how it should look. Because right now there are a lot of things going on that I think are hurting our chances of our students achieving more. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Ms. Perea.
All right, on to consent agenda. And I will entertain a motion.
We'll move to approval for the consent agenda as printed on our agenda.
I'll second that.
Mr. Cole.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron.
Yes.
Mrs. Paez.
Yes.
Mr. Orozco.
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley.
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
All right, on to discussion items. Policy update.
President Roscoe, we have, first read of, several policies here, including one regulation. Mrs. Reinhardt and Mr. Wyman are gonna help us with the, first, three, and then Mr. Turner is gonna help us with the last one regarding, relations with booster organizations. Mr. Wyman, Mr. Reinhardt, Ms. Reinhardt.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Waldron. Tonight, we are proposing some updates to policies related to parent-teacher conferences, report cards, and the accompanying regulation. These updates are necessary to align our district policies with the changes to New Mexico state statutes regarding literacy assessment and reporting. However, I want to emphasize that our proposal goes beyond the state minimum, the state compliance, to ensure that we maintain high standards of communication with our families. First, and I think most importantly, while the state has removed the legal requirement for the mid-year literacy notification letters, Denver Public Schools has chosen to retain this policy for our K-2 students. We feel that it is critical for parents to formally be notified in writing if their child is not proficient in literacy, even though that this is no longer a requirement that's strictly mandated. We are keeping it in the policy to guarantee transparency for our families. Second, you'll see some language that changes that specific target to grades K2. Since the state's mandatory literacy assessments focus on this particular grade band, we've updated our regulation and asking for policies to strictly align to that window and those assessments that we provide. This removes the outdated references to other grades for this specific requirement, ensuring that the policy matches current state laws, district practices, and assessments that we provide at this time. Finally, the proposal would shift the mid-year literacy conference from a mandatory requirement to a parent requested option. And here's how this would look. Parents would receive the written notification that their child is not proficient. The notification would explicitly offer them an option to request a conference. And I think crucially, we're gonna have these letters, we plan to have these letters sent out prior to our regularly scheduled parent-teacher conferences in February. And so this timing would ensure that if a parent wishes to discuss the notification, they can do so during their already scheduled February conference. They're not forced to schedule a separate, additional, special meeting if they feel informed. But this time is already dedicated in February into the calendar for those who would like to have that meeting. This respects both the parents' time while allowing schools to focus also on intensive resources for families who do seek that active collaboration with our schools and with our district. So in summary, these changes, we want to ensure we remain compliant, that we continue to communicate well with our parents, while also preserving the rigorous support and communication necessary. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have already.
So what we'll do really quick is we'll step through these two policies very quickly. I'll point out what Mr. Wyman was speaking about as well as his regulation. So Mr. Turner, if you go to that first one, progress reports. So again, here, nothing changes on the first part of this. If you scroll down, Mr. Turner, to the bottom, this is where Mr. Wyman was saying that though not required by the law anymore, we do want to continue to do this. Again, focusing on K2, that's where the mandatory early childhood literacy assessments are. Again, that's the changes there. And then with the option to hold a parent-teacher conference at the parent's request. Okay, so we want to put the information out there, give them the option to have a conference if they choose to have a discussion. The second one, again, this is also policy related to this. This is what Mr. Wyman was sort of talking about, the timeline here. Again, we'll be notifying them no later than the end of the second scheduled parent conference that this parent's child is not academically proficient. That way, we have a parent conference in September. There's a second parent conference already happening typically in February. So we can notify them at that February meeting at the latest that their child is not proficient. We'll notify them in writing, and then they have the option to request additional parent-teacher conference to discuss additional remediation strategies. So as Mr. Wyman said, this no longer required, but kind of goes above and beyond what is required by the state. And I very clear, we need to have an early literacy focus here in Deming. And then the last one is, again, as Mr. Wyman was saying, is a regulation, will not require your approval. However, provides the department here guidance on what they should be doing in this particular conference. And so you can see those changes there. Okay. Before we move on, are there any questions regarding that? Well, guys, obviously we can back for an additional read. Anything you'd like us to consider as we try to finalize these for you?
Questions from the board? I got one. The letters, how are they gonna go out? Are they gonna be mailed?
We mail them.
Okay. How do we know that the parents got them?
So unfortunately, with our communication, we don't always know that. And I will say for the ones that don't, typically we would get like a return to sender, and then we'll have the schools try to reach out additionally as well. And then we do translate them into the parents' home language as well.
But teachers will be aware of what's on the letters, so that at the February conference, they can address it then, just to ensure a parent did read the letter.
The reason I ask is it goes back to the addresses, and people change addresses and don't have update addresses with the schools. And so those letters sometimes either they get sent and somebody sees them, but they tear them up or just dispose of them or whatever and don't even pay attention. Because I think it's key, we're gonna try to tackle the literacy side of things to, we get everybody on board. So, okay.
I did have a comment too, when I was reading it earlier, you said the end of the second conference. That's,
Yeah, I can
it
clean
doesn't
that up.
really, I don't know what that means, yeah.
Okay.
So there'll be I may have missed that word, so I apologize. I can get that fixed for the next read. I think the end should not be there, so they should notify prior to the conference.
Yeah, because that was kind of confusing.
Yes, I apologize.
What does that mean? And, yeah, okay, thank you.
I noticed it as he read it. I was like, that's not natural.
Okay, thank you.
What was the reason for removing the written explanation about interventions versus talking about them at a parent-teacher conference?
So they were always talked about.
Right.
So the written notification is a letter that we have to send at the middle of the year if they're not proficient. It used to be required in state statute. It hasn't been for several years.
We did it last year.
We did do it last year. It's a little bit complicated because third grade is not required to take a literacy assessment. So that's the grade change. But then the notification or the explanation was always supposed to be in a parent conference.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that
Yes.
if they have questions, they can get follow-up. They can get that additional information.
So the district believes it's enough to not put it in the letter.
The letter does explain as well, so it explains what, you know, because we use percentiles, it explains how the percentile work, it explains the different things.
Just not the interventions specific to the child?
Because it may look different for
For
each
every kid.
individual.
Okay.
Yes. It's very individualized, the intervention.
Well, and the hope is that we get the parents to parent-teacher conference, we'll
That's
be able to
exactly-
discuss that.
Yes,
That's
If
it.
we don't, they don't show up, then we're still kind of out in the dark.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are the previous principal, mostly two parents, most of parent-teacher conference, so we do have the majority of them. I know in my experience.
Any questions, comments? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Now we're gonna move on to Mr. Turner, who's gonna share about policy KJA, relations with booster organizations. He's probably gonna tell you this, but this is basically to update the NMSBA policy to reflect what has kind of always been in the previous policy for DPS. So Mr. Turner, hopefully we can hear you.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent W.
Hold on just a second.
Hold on,
You're
hold on,
a little
Charles.
low.
Go ahead again, Charles.
Can you hear me?
That's better. Thank God. Go for it.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent W. We are putting this policy before you. If you could remember just the other day, back in 2023, we had actually amended the boosters policy to kind of reflect some more of the financial obligations of programs. Now with the adoption of the policy service, we're going to kind of go back to what we originally had with some updates. We're not going to call it the booster policy. We're going to call it the parent support organization because that takes care of PTOs, booster clubs, anything that really helps support our schools or our students and the clubs. With that, we did update some pieces of it from what you guys had approved a couple of years ago. One of them being that on A2, that we ask for the parent support organizations to submit their constitution, bylaws, and a listing of their officers yearly. In the previous one, it wasn't clear on how often they had to be submitted. We did notice some gaps between different boosters. It could have been as easy as the officers didn't change. But if that were the case, we weren't aware of that. So we're going to make that a requirement now. And then some other things that we had added, or that we kept, I'm sorry, is that an employee of the district cannot be a signer on the account. They can be the president. They just can't be like the treasurer or the second signature for the checks. This policy does require that 2 signers are on the checks. So that way, you know, there's a little bit of a check and balance there. We do have some booster clubs or some support organizations that keep their accounts within the district. That's nothing new. That just helps secure their funds. It helps secure, purchases made by the groups. They have to follow procurement just like our district does. And then we do have some outside groups that maintain their own funds, but this kind of outlines everything that they're supposed to be doing as well. With that, I stand for questions. I know Mr. Adcock is also in the audience. He was a big part of these conversations, so he can also help answer anything that you may ask.
Any questions, comments by the board?
I did have one question on the raffles and bingo. Is that something that the schools can legally do?
That's a great question, and Mr. Adcock is there. I do believe it is a state law.
Mr. President, members of the board, superintendent. So what those raffles are, what the discussion there is for those organizations that are outside of Deming Public
Oh,
Schools,
okay.
that are operating with their own tax ID number, their own 501c3, and then they can, they have to be in compliance with their own laws from there. The ones that are within the district, we're not allowing any of those types of things.
The wording, does it specifically, I didn't quite get that distinction in the wording.
And I don't know that it's a distinction in the wording, except that
Doing-
If they are within Deming Public Schools, they have to go through our procurement, they have to go through our, the money is deposited into the bank accounts here. All either boosters or PTOs, or whether they're inside of the district or outside, they still have to submit a fundraiser form to us so that we, as the district, we're aware of what's going on. And if it is one that's within, the district, if they're asking for 50/50 or those types of raffles, we can deny that as part of that process.
And what we can do, board member Pius, thank you for that input on that. We can go back and again, review that and make sure there's clarity there that, whom it applies to. And then, hopefully we can get good clarity and if there's anything that needs to be cleared up, we could change that before a second reading of possible approval.
I had questions, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
So when I initially read this, and I don't recall what the old policy says, it's, that was a few years back, but it seemed to me when I read some of the paragraphs about district employee involvement, it almost seems to me like it discourages employees from participating in these clubs, and I think that's a negative thing. And that was just my initial reaction reading it. For example, in A5 talks about district employees may not direct or make financial or transactional decisions in these organizations. And that to me means then that it's impossible for a district employee to serve on the board of these organizations because you are absolutely going to be involved in making transactional decisions. Boards probably vote just like we vote on issues. And so I could imagine a circumstance where if you've got a board of 5 like us and you've got 3 people serving on that board who happen to work for the district or might be a board member, then what do? Like, you just can't conduct business because it's written so broadly in a way that, well, if the decision is perceived as being transactional, if I work for the district, I'm not going to serve because I don't want to get in trouble. So I understand the district's need, I guess, for not wanting employees involved in the finances as far as signing checks or serving as treasurer, but I could easily see a district employee or a board member serving as a president of one of these organizations and being really worried about what they can and cannot do. It just seems like it contradicts the way that the policy was written before by the policy service as far as wanting to have positive relationships with boosters and encourage it and ensure harmony. And this one the edits just seem, when I read it, like I said, it just feels negative. So, or controlling, I guess. Like even in B3, all fundraisers, projects, and activities to be conducted by the organization, and I read that to mean even the outside organizations, must be planned in conjunction with and have prior written approval of both the principal and the director. Like that just kind of puts a hamper on these outside organizations' ability to raise money, which frankly, I think all of our programs can use that extra money. That's my opinion initially as I read it. I don't have any suggestions for changes. I'm not satisfied with the way it's written. I think it discourages booster organizations rather than encourages them to exist at all.
I think this has been an issue for a long time. And that's why so many people don't want to be on the board, especially employees. So I think that we should get together with people that are on boards right now or people that want to volunteer in these programs and let them decide what they think is fair. The issue is that people are not responsible. They decide, they see a little bit of money and then they want to go crazy and do something crazy with it because it's happened. That's why we have these things. And so I think maybe if people are told that if they mess up, they will no longer be on a board or be invited to any game or anything that's involved with their children, maybe it'll put a damper on everything. And so we don't have them issues, and I wish people were more responsible. And I mean, taking from kids is a terrible thing, you know, you'll be recognized for that for the rest of your life. So I think we need to really address it. We don't have to put what they want us to put or what the company that we've hired to do this. We can do something a little different that would benefit everybody and that make everybody comfortable, but yet we know that there's things that we got to watch for. And the idea of them reporting to you guys, I think, is important. Every year, letting know who's on the board, how much they raise. I mean, that whole thing, that needs to be very, it should just be brought out all the time. We should know what's happening. Maybe they should come in and introduce themselves too, because I don't even know who they are. Something like that should be done so we know who's in charge and what's going on, especially if they're going to raise money for kids and stuff. So, but I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's something we really need to consider and how we're going to do it, because we're losing. Somebody mentioned something to me and it struck me. We don't want to do the same thing over and over and over, but when we have the same people that are just the ones that are volunteering or doing things in life, we can't make a change for the better because this is what we have, because this is a small community and we only have so much. We got to be understanding that some people might serve on 2 boards because their kids are involved. And so, and they're employees and they want to make sure it's successful. And I want to make sure it's successful for them. So it's just something we've got to take into consideration.
I do want to clarify it. I don't mean that the whole thing's bad. I'm just saying there were those specific pieces that I feel discourages participation, but I do believe it's important to have checks and balances for sure. I just think that
Maybe just more clarity.
it's discouraging. If I worked here, I probably wouldn't want to serve on an organization because I wouldn't want to take the risk that a decision I made could be perceived as being involved in a transaction I shouldn't have. So.
Vice President Crumley and Secretary Kroll, thank you for that feedback. So I think what we'll do, just for clarity of the board, for the board, and Mr. Turner and I can work on this with Mr. Adcock. What you saw on the screen there that was initially in black, that was the NMSBA policy service language, the one that you were referring to, Ms. Crumley, that became the policy when these were adopted last school year. I believe that most of what was in blue and clarify for me, Charles, was this in the previous Deming Public Schools policy or was it just regulation?
That was in the previous policy.
So what's in blue was was mostly what was in the previous policy. Then the NMSBA kind of overrode it with what was struck out there in red. So what I hear the board saying is, hey, you know what? We had this policy, we got a new policy. Before we go back to our old policy that we had, let's take a look at that and make sure that it's written in a fashion that, you know, we can keep track of the money and have responsibility, but really not discourage folks from participating. That's kind of what I'm hearing. Does that seem like the right direction
I
that
agree.
Mr. Turner and I need to go in?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Just one more thing to
Yes,
add
sir.
to that, each president of the board, one of the things, we can definitely look at the transactional language that you're referring to. I agree with you. One of the things though we have to watch is whenever you start collecting money, as Mr. Kroll said, people can kind of get crazy whenever they do that. And so we have to be very careful and make sure we know because if they collect money as a member of the district, as an employee, that money becomes district funds and then becomes guided by the policies and procedures and laws of the district. To where if they keep it outside, then that's a different set of laws, rules, and regulations that they have to abide by. And so that's part of the reason why we're saying we need to be careful with the money part of it. The transactional part where you know, can't be part of a member of the board, I think we do need to address that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to any other discussion on that? We move on. On to item B, calendar planning and development process for 2026-2027 school year.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have, Ms. Reinhardt and Mr. Wyman here to share a little bit about this. While they're speaking, I'm gonna hand out a copy of those, comments that I sent via email, just so you can have a reference, because it's not in the slideshow. Ms. Reinhardt, Mr. Wyman?
Good evening, President Orozco, members of the board, Superintendent Alcamus. We've come here today to talk to you about the calendar process for planning the 26-27 calendar for next school year. I want to say that when we first started, we sent an email to all administrators, principals and department heads and asked for them to send us 2 staff members from their school/department. During this, we had our first meeting, and during this meeting, we took feedback on what should we ask in surveys. What are important topics from staff that they felt like that we should address? And then based on the staff comments, we kind of took it from a parent's perspective. What would parents want to know? And how would we wanted to make sure that we asked questions that would allow parents to give us their feedback. We put out the survey. The survey was out for a little bit over a week. We had 277 staff members reply to the survey and 673 parents replied. And I'm going to kind of summarize some of the key concepts, and then we'll talk after I give you some of the data points. One of the questions was, do we want to end school before Memorial Day or after? I can tell you for both surveys, we asked parents and staff, overwhelmingly, everybody wants to end before Memorial Day. So that's a key point that we want to keep in mind. We asked all the staff, we did not ask parents about professional development days, but we did ask staff. Staff of 49% prefer professional development days. They didn't like having them all up front in the school year. As we did this previous calendar, they liked them. They didn't want them, they want fewer at the beginning of the year. So that's important for us to keep in mind. Another one we asked of staff is the last day of school. Should it be students, staff, or half day for students? Overwhelmingly, 71% of staff want the last day of school to be just a staff day to close out the school year. We asked another professional development question is, which structure would they prefer? Where do we put these professional development days, if not at the beginning of the year? And 38% of the staff want the professional development days before each quarter. So they can do some data analysis and make adjustments before they move into instruction. 37%, so it was very tight, would like it spread throughout the school year. So those two are very close. In regarding parent-teacher conference days, which day of the week, we asked both parents and staff. Both parents and staff wanted on Friday, or they had no preference. It was very close. So it looks like it possibly could be a Friday. In order to increase parent engagement, what times? So we even tried to take in account what times work best for parents and which time works best for staff. The staff chose in their first choice 11:30 to 6:30, and parents, 29% of the parents also chose that time. The time that parents chose as their first choice was 12:30 to 7:30, but only 10% of staff liked that time. So as an equal medium, it looks 11:30 to 6:30 could be an option that we may want to consider for parent-teacher conference times. The state law requires that we close on election day. So for that Tuesday, we have to close. And we tried to keep in mind for a longer weekend for parents since there was no school on Tuesday. So this school year, we did not have school on Monday, and we wanted to see what everybody felt about that. Overwhelmingly, both staff and parents liked the idea of closing Monday and Tuesday. Another topic that we wanted to discuss was Fair Week. Should we go to school during Fair Week? Should we not go to school during Fair Week? And it was the winner, or the majority, was we need to close school during the fair. We also asked what the order of the federal holidays. And I can tell you, both parents and staff feel the same. Labor Day was the number one choice they want to make sure we have off. Columbus Day was, if we had to drop a holiday to not take off, everybody would be willing to drop Columbus Day. The week of Thanksgiving, 85% and 83%, they all want a week off in Thanksgiving, no questions, just the whole week. And then one thing that was very interesting that we did not ask staff this question. We really wanted to see what parents thought of it first before we rolled it out to staff. And we asked about early release, how parents would feel about doing some of our professional development days in an early release fashion. And the parents were for it. Out of the 673 parents, 230 parents thought they would like for students to leave midday. 123 parents thought that there could be a mix of sometimes they leave midday, sometimes they have shorter afternoons, and sometimes they have a late arrival to school. And then the third choice, 108 parents like the idea of a shorter afternoon. And when you look at all of those, that was 66% of the parents that responded in the survey were in favor of some sort of early release based on this survey. And so now we stand before you to get any feedback, anything you would like, we could make this process better, or questions that you may have.
And Mr. President, before questions, I just want to clarify, a little different process this year with the calendar. It was to kind of ask ahead of time before we make calendars, right? What are some priorities for the community? So a little bit different process to get their input ahead of time to try to craft a couple of drafts that are acceptable either way. And then before any questions, again, we have the 1140 hour requirement. We don't necessarily have a day requirement. I have a question that I'm going to address in a moment after your additional questions. But sometimes there's not as much wiggle room there as there used to be back in the old days. There used to be, just for your information, prior to the pandemic, elementary was only required to go 990 hours a year, and secondary was only required to go 1080 hours a year. So everybody's now at 1140 hours. So that's kind of a significant difference in the planning of what people recall from kind of the recent future, and why we can't go back to that. That causes some constraint. So I know you all may have some clarifying questions. Mr. President.
Questions by the board? Comments?
I just think that whatever the staff needs, you guys know better than we do on that situation, and just they get what they need to have. It's the way I see it. It's so limited now that basically PED makes all our decisions. I mean, it's sad, but it's the truth. And so, there's only so much we can do, so, and people got to understand that it's not like they can change. We only have so much wiggle room,
Yeah, I think it's the same. I mean, people want, and I saw some of the comments, and it's going to be a situation that no matter what we pick or what we choose or how we design it, there's people that aren't going to be satisfied with it. And so it becomes a majority, piece to it. And I would like to see more parents participate, in the survey. Because it's that 1140 plus, people want, start in August, end in May.
Yeah.
2 weeks for this, 2 weeks for that.
Yeah.
And so you start cutting into stuff right away, and it gets to a point where it's mathematically not possible to create those and get all those benefits out of it. And so there's got to be some give and take, and it's got to be a push and pull. And so I think that it's going to be tough. It's going to be trying to create, something that kind of answers or responds to a lot of what's wanted. So I guess we'll see.
We provide two other points here that I kind of saw in the comments, and I actually spoke with members of student leadership about our current calendar. Missed a couple of high schoolers that weren't there. I might follow up with them. And I also saw it in the comments from kind of staff and parents for the most part. The kids asked me, I was showing them this year's calendar. I said, what would you change about this calendar? And they asked me, Mr. W, why do we have 2 weeks off at spring break? And I said, well, we've had a couple off in October, this district, and a couple in spring. And they said this, Well, you know, Mr. Holman, it's really hard for us to get rev back up after 2 weeks. We really go back into review mode. So they were they said, well, it takes all we have after Christmas to get going again and getting it going again after 2 weeks in spring as a learner, for that group is not optimal for them. And I saw a reflection of that in some of the comments as well about the 2 weeks off. So I think there's a space here. Are we gonna be able to start with the constraints we talked about, and as Mr. Kroll and Mr. Roscoe pointed out, are we gonna be able to start in August and end in May with the requirements? No, but if we kind of look at the length of our fall break, maybe a week, the length of our spring break, it maybe a week, we can squeeze that a little bit closer, right? Where we can pick the priorities. The priority ending before Memorial Day, or is the priority, starting in August? I think that's something that we can look at with our calendar planning. So I think to your point, to the community, the input's valuable and we'll try to get that as tight as we can. I think the other thing that came up that I did want to mention, there was in the open-ended comments, we didn't ask it specifically in the survey, but in the open-ended comments, there was some things about, hey, can we have a 4-day school week, kind of the length of the week? So say a couple of things. Regardless of whether you go 4 days or 5 days, you're still required to have 1140 hours. So typically when you're trying to keep a calendar kind of in this August, May, July, May range, going 4 days a week will extend the length of the school day. Now there's pros and cons for a 4-day week. I think as we, may not be something we look at for next year, but as we go forward and consider, I think kind of what Mr. Kroll said and what I heard Mrs. Reinhardt and Mr. Wyman say, what is best for the teachers? Because when it comes to planning and preparation, because sometimes more time is not better time, better prepared for time is better for kids. And so when we're thinking about, hey, an early out schedule or 4 days this week and 5 days next week, let's have a conversation about how can that time allow anytime we may not have students in the building and staff may be working, how can staff use that time to be better prepared to serve our kids? So I think we're looking a little bit next year and then maybe for a further discussion the following year for something maybe a little bit different. I think there's a space for that. And one thing I do know, and from my previous experience as well, that parents do want consistency, and that was reflected as well. So here the next year or so, we would respond to the community in a positive fashion by getting into a pattern with our calendar that is a little bit more predictable. And right now the law is 1140 hours. There's an injunction about the number of days, 180 days. So the reason why I wouldn't recommend considering any kind of like 4-day or anything particular next year is because that law with the PED about 180 days is still under review. And if that doesn't go the way of if it goes the way of the state, we're going to be doing 180 days and there's going to be all these parameters. So I just want to make sure I shared that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You guys can use a crystal ball and come back and have something perfect with all these on there, then we're all for it.
That'll be a raise. That'll
Yeah.
be a raise. Ms. Reinhardt, Mr. Wyman. For this next item, I'm going to hand some items out to you. Thank you. I want to speak on this next item, a discussion item about a framework we want to put in place here and consider putting in place here in Dayton Public Schools to make sure we improve our academics and our outcomes. And so I put here on a slide, and I won't read it to you, but we want to make sure what we're deciding is systematic. And my experience tells me those 3 bullets that you see right there on the screen, and they're also going to reflect it in this handout I'm going to go over. Are kind of the base level elements of well-performing schools, that they're safe, supported, and collaborative, that they build effective teaching practices, and there's a curriculum that is guaranteed, which means aligned to the state standards, and very importantly, viable, that can be accomplished in a school year, right? Sometimes we have a guaranteed curriculum and it's got 10,000 standards that really can't be accomplished. There's a real conversation that needs to be had about in those standards, what is viable that we can accomplish in a year. And so what I'm going to share with you is something that we've been talking about as a leadership team as our practices for success. And what it's based on is it's a high reliability system. And it's based on the Marzano High Reliability Framework. So Charles, if you can click on that one that says Framework for Success, and that's the same handout that our board has. I'm going to point out a couple of things in this framework and give you a very brief touch on this to give you the concept, and we can discuss this, much later in the future. So in this system, it's a strategic planning system, right? We want to make sure, as I said, we have safe, supportive, collaborative schools. We have effective teaching in every classroom, and that we have a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And so that's what Charles is showing here on the screen. Charles, if you want to scroll back up to safe, supportive, and collaborative classroom, that's page 1 that you're seeing in front of you on paper as well. And what I really want to share is that in a high reliability system, there's some simplicity to it. What you see here are 8 leading indicators, conditions that if we create in our schools, right, evidence shows that when these conditions are in place, you have a safe, supportive, and collaborative environment. Any educator out in the room, current or past, and parents will look at this and go, hey, if these things are present in our school, we will have a safe, supportive, and collaborative system. So again, right, to have a safe, supportive, and collaborative culture, we want a faculty and staff that perceive the school environment as safe and orderly, right? Students, parents, communities. Community also perceives it safe and orderly. Teachers have formal roles in the decision-making process. And for school initiatives, teachers and staff work collaboratively regarding common issues. Bless you. Faculty and staff have formal ways to give input. Parents have formal, and community members and students have formal way to give input. And success of the school as the success of individuals as well as the school as a whole are recognized. And that the management of the physical and operational and technological resources directly supports teachers. So how this framework would work is that we want these conditions in place, and then we have to go out, and this could be the same for some of our campuses based on the needs, or different for some of the campuses, where we'll implement best practices to make sure these conditions are occurring. And so what we're doing now is we're reviewing what are we currently doing in Deming Public Schools that addresses these indicators, and are what we're doing being successful. And if we're not doing things in Deming Public Schools that address these indicators, how can we start them? Okay. And so that is what really a high reliability system is, right? What's the area you're going to work on? What are the conditions you want in your school? And what actions are you taking to put these conditions in place? And then, of course, you're going to monitor your actions to see if they're being successful. And so I won't go over the other indicators on the other sections, but just understand that as you look at this and as you review this, that there are indicators also for effective teaching in every classroom that we're going to be working on, and as well as guaranteed and viable curriculum. Now, Charles, if we go back to the slideshow, what I do want to share with the board as we're bringing this together, and I think it's on the last, right here, it's right here, Charles, thank you. So we have had an opportunity from an expert with Marzano Associates to introduce the high reliability framework to us. I have some experience myself in working this and operating this in schools for school improvement. And so before we make a final decision, if this is the framework we want to use, we'll be taking campus leadership across the state line here to San Antonio in January to really learn a little bit more about this framework to make sure it can be applied appropriately here in Deming. And there are some things we're hoping to come back with, those 4 bullets, after we attend this conference. So as we kind of move forward, and then some folks in the community have already heard this, teachers have already heard this, as we move forward, you're going to hear me talking a lot about in Deming Public Schools, we want safe, supportive, and collaborative culture. We want effective teaching in every classroom. We want a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And over time, you'll hear us start talking more about these are the conditions in our school that we're trying to put in place. So when we're talking about a broad framework for school improvement, and many of these things are adult actions, things we have to do as leadership, teachers, and adults to support our students. I just wanted to kind of give you an introduction to that. And then in the future, if we choose to adopt this and you're available next February or next January, bless you, when the summit is, hopefully if we adopt this, we would really like to invite you all to the the summit next January for you all to learn firsthand. So that's just a very brief introduction. I didn't want to overwhelm you with information, but I wanted to make sure this was put out for you all as well as the public. Any questions or clarifications I can add at this time? And again, we can always have a workshop or something else in the future to give further clarity.
Questions, comments by the board? No?
How many of you are going in January?
We have a representative for most every campus, I think. I know, you know, people had made some arrangements that couldn't be moved. But I think there is 16 of us,
16.
Melanie, right? Just
16.
one from almost every campus and then a small group of us from leadership, so 16.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for knowing that number, Ms. Reinhardt. Okay.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, on to item D, baseline student achievement and outcome data. Mr. Wyman?
And me and Mr. Wyman are gonna work together on this one. There we go. So again, a starting point for a further conversation, which is gonna lead to after this, you know, when we talk about strategic plan here in a moment, this will all kind of come together. And so I want you to know that we do have, for these three areas you see in gray, we do have you know, current student outcomes and goals. So I'm going to start with the one that says math and ELA student outcomes and goals, give you a quick snapshot. And then Mr. Wyman can provide any clarity. So Charles, if you can try to open that first one very quickly, thank you. Here we go. So these are summative goals that are set at the start of each year. I will let Mr. Wyman in a moment share with you how these summative goals are set. The items that you see kind of outlined in red, those are basically our state accountability tests relative to the federal government. So remember, only grades 3 through 6, 3 through 8 and 11 have official accountability on the state report card for us. However, we do take measurements in each grade level. So Mr. Wyman, if you want to kind of say for K1-2 how those goals are set, and then how they're set differently for 3 through 8.
Yes, sir. So what we've done is we've looked at kind of like the upper level of where we've achieved for our kinder. We felt looking at the data, historical trends, that 60% was achievable, but an ambitious goal for each of our kindergartners, each of our kindergarten classrooms and schools. With that said, we've then requested that each of our schools set a goal of 10% increases over time for first and second grade. Same with third through fifth. And then starting with sixth grade, what we've asked our secondary schools to do is really hold on to our students that are proficient, right? That's the number one goal. And then to take 30% of our students that are what's considered nearing proficient, which is that level of proficiency right below, and target those students meaningfully to try to get them to that proficient level. And then even our kids that are achieving at the lowest level academically, we're asking our schools, and we're helping them identify individual students, right? That we want to push those kids to that next level, right? So 30% moving to the next level with each of those tiers.
And so again, I think an important thing to understand is that K1 through 2, that is Amira ice station. That's one kind of test. Then grades 3 through 8, that's the NAMASA. That's a different kind of test, the different outcome. Then grade 11 that we measure, that's the SAT. That's a different test that the outcome comes from. So what I do want to remind the board, and again, you know, we'll have further discussions about this later, that the measure itself, we can set goals for each of the assessments, but the assessments change across time. And so whenever you're looking at a different grade level, you're looking at a little bit different take on what's being assessed. And then of course, in 9th and 10th grade, they're taking the PSAT, and that's not required. We just do it here for college readiness. Okay. So I just want to let you know that that's how give you just a primer on how those goals are set, and those goals have been set, and our campuses are working towards those in their 90-day plan. Before I talk about the last two other sets of data, which are a little more clear, I think the graduation and the attendance. Any clarifying questions you have right now, you may have more later, for Mr. Wyman about what you're seeing here on the screen.
Questions?
No? Thank you. All right, thank you. Charles, if you can go to that next one, I think it says graduation rates. Okay, another measure that we have outcomes and goals for, our graduation rates. Here you can see the graduation rates by each column. I want to let you know, you see there in Vistas on the bottom. If you recall, that's our state report card. So graduation rates are reported on our state report card 1 year, 1 year late. Okay, achievement data is that year. Graduation data is one set of data that is 1 year late. So you can see the trends there. We don't have the graduation rates yet for 2025. The data integrity department has just submitted those to the PED. Those will not get released typically until the spring. But they won't be included on our report card until the report card in 2026. And then of course, the goal you see for 2026 are the goals that each campus set on their 90-day plan. Looks like by these, the early college, very common for early colleges throughout the state to have a high 90s to 100% graduation rate. So I appreciate that Mr. Simpson and his team set it at that. Then of course, Deming High School looking to make sure that the graduation rate there far exceeds the state graduation rate. And then 78 for Deming Cesar Chavez is about the state average. So just going to let you know, that's another measure of outcomes that the state uses, okay? There's a point to all this in a second. And the last one, Charles, about attendance. So this is the attendance is measured in two ways. What ends up oftentimes on our report card is the chronic absentee rate. Each campus has to do an attendance plan each year and they set a chronic absentee target rates. The far right-hand column are the targets that each individual campus set based on what they've historically done, how effective they think the interventions will be. And you can see over time, each third column there is the rates from last year. And again, chronic absentee rates are high throughout New Mexico and throughout the country. I think it's a little bit of a calculation situation that makes them higher. Then that one that says overall absence rate, that's kind of what we think of the classic absence rate. So for example, if you look on that line there for Denver Intermediate, it says their overall target overall absence rate is 6%. That means this year they want to have 94% attendance. Okay, so you just take the overall absence rate and subtract it. That's the target that they want. So last year they were actually at 7.3%. So that's 92.7%. So they want to be up to 94% this year. So that's another set of outcomes. And on the bottom, just really quickly, scroll down there, Charles. We are able to track their current chronic absentee rate and regular attendance rate on there. So you can see, right now, Deming Intermediate School, they're at 6.4. They're at 93.54. Remember, they wanted to be at 94%, so they're kind of close to their target mid-year. And then, of course, they have a chronic absentee goal of 22.93. Okay, so we have those measures as well. Now on to the question I want to pose to you all for feedback now or feedback later. So as we move forward, we'll talk about our strategic plan here and forward. Charles, go back to the major slide. So I think as a board, for you to think about, or if you have some initial thoughts, we can report as a district and to the community a million things, right? A million kinds of outcomes, a million kinds of data, which to us as educators that are in the classroom make great sense to us and can help us push things forward. I often think that if we share, well, you know, we have to be mindful of what we share with the community because it sometimes comes out of context, and it's, you know, the state kind of has a lot of variation in it. So for you all, if you have thoughts now, what type of measure is most helpful, right? We can give you proficiency, we can give you growth of proficiency. We can actually give you proficiency, our performance relative to the state, relative to districts, similar districts. We could try to look at relative to the nation. We can just do relative to ourselves. But do you have any initial thoughts as a community member? Um, what, how can we package the data back to the community that you think is really going to be impactful, that we can come back year after year with just 2 or 3 things that we're sharing out? Anything strike your mind now? It may not. I could take feedback now or later.
I think growth, just overall growth, you know, I mean, growth is an indication that we're doing something right. I believe, and I could be wrong, but just those percentages increasing, you know, in those categories means that, you know, we're getting the stuff that's being put in place and the work that the teachers and the staff and administrators are doing is working, and we're getting more kids towards that proficiency level and or above that level. So I'd like to see that the growth side of things.
When I was looking at it earlier today, I was kind of trying to figure out where we stand relative to other districts in the state.
Okay.
So I feel like I know that every district is different and every district is unique and we all have a different set of students and, you know, all those things. But to have at least maybe a column that kind of says New Mexico average, I think that would help me to interpret it a little bit more. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
I think when it comes to the district wanting to know what information the community wants, I think the district should ask the community.
It's fair.
But I think that for my own personal perspective, as a community member, as a parent, I appreciate knowing both the proficiency and the growth. And I personally don't necessarily need to know what everyone else is doing because my main priority is Deming. But I also appreciate your next bullet point as far as these other things are also important, but I understand wanting to balance too much information versus what's most important. But I mean, I think it boils down to the community can let the district know what's important.
I would agree, and I think so often what gets sent out is how we compare to all of the different districts or in the nation, whatever's. And then we get lost with that because we're all different. And so it makes us feel like we're not doing the job at all. And that, to me, every time we come out and have to see it compared to all the others, we think, well, we're just really failing, but we have to look down and see how, instead of comparing to that, comparing to what we're doing.
I agree.
I think what I find helpful is the last year, the data from previous years, because that really can show you if the growth or the decrease from year to year.
So I'm going to summarize very briefly what I've heard there, and then again, as Ms. Crumley was seeing those next 6 bullets. So I think, hey, let's go out to the community and say, here's kind of a starting point of what we think would be helpful in reporting the data back to you. What's your input on what's going to be informative to you as a community? And then I think Ms. Crumley was looking at those next 5 bullets. Are there other types of data that can be more helpful? I'm hearing Ms. Crumley say, hey, again, a good spot to ask community what's important to them. And that way we can have for the community a consistent message that we're reporting. And then, of course, you know, kind of behind the scenes, you know, in the learning services department, we can monitor and look at all the small pieces of data, subgroups we need to push that big number forward. That's kind of what I'm gathering from there. Before we move on, any other thoughts about, those last 6 bullets there about other data? Again, we can ask the community, but for the board right now, again, I can take feedback later. Anything that strikes you as something important to you on those last six bullets?
What's a failure rate?
Yeah, so it really just how many kids are failing a particular course or class. Can also do that a little bit as kind of credits, kind of on track to graduation on the secondary level.
Is the failure DF?
Right now, here in Dayton Public Schools, the failure is only defined in the grade book as an F.
I think also we need to address, and the only reason I bring it up, because several people have brought it up to my attention in the
Mhm.
community. I know we want to be proficient and do a lot of things, but we also got to make sure the kids come to school.
Mm-hmm.
The attendance, I think, is important. Maybe we need to show the community, this is what we're doing, this is what
Okay.
we're trying to do.
Okay.
Try to make sure kids are going to school.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing.
Board Member Crowe, I completely agree with that. I think from a community perspective, school attendance is a very easily definable piece of data that anybody, no matter your background, can follow. So I'll take that as a starting point, because all this little conversation, these last couple of slides leads to this last this last thing here. And Ms. Waika from Everest is kind of listening in on this on purpose. So Charles, if you want to go to the next slide. I'll get back, find us that strategic plan, Charles. Somewhere.
I think it's after, like 2 slides down.
2 slides down. I just got the slide down. One more, Charles. Go
Oh.
back up.
Maybe not.
Thought it was right in there. Outcome data. Oh. Go back one more, Charles. One more. Okay.
There it is.
Okay. So, framework for improvement, the academics and student outcomes. To get to the right student outcomes that we just had a brief conversation about, we need a strategic focus and a well-designed strategic plan helps you get there. It focuses our efforts. I'm aware that Dayton Public Schools participated in a strategic planning process, which produced some board goals and a draft that I've included there that you may be familiar with. But what I'm proposing here is that we take the work that we've already done on that strategic plan. There was some input there. Plus we've heard about some additional input right into deciding things, from the community as well, from both our community speaker and the board, and make us a finalized, clear, concise plan that doesn't have too much, has just enough to communicate many of these things we've been talking about tonight. So basically we take our your board goals, plus we talked about the HRS improvement framework. We have a profile of a graduate that's in place that we'll kind of speak to you more about. Plus these outcomes that we just talked about. That equals a clear, concise strategic plan, which can end up making a great superintendent evaluation tool that we can use for multiple years here. So Ms. Waika is going to speak to us here shortly. She has I have worked with her in leadership elements in the past. She has a great knack for strategic planning and return on investment. She's been very interested in kind of giving her all of our stuff, my evaluation, the data, to see if how she's going to help us get this to a point that it's an actionable item. So Charles, if we can find that slide, please, where Stephanie's slide is at, and then I'll let Stephanie unmute and share some things here. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for waiting.
Oh my gosh, no, it's been such a pleasure to listen to the conversation from board members and from Superintendent W, which is now going to be the nickname I'm going to use. Well, it is such a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I am Stephanie White. I'm the Director of Professional Learning at Everest Analytics and a proud 20 plus year public educator myself. And I'm here with you tonight to share about our upcoming partnership with Deming Public Schools, specifically kind of orientating the work around supporting and refining the Deming Public Schools strategic plan. And so to amplify a focus on student-centered outcomes, which is what I heard so much of the conversation just happening around with board members, DPS will be partnering with Everest Analytics, a K through 12 analytics return on investment and continuous improvement partner. At Everest, we aim to be the GPS for the strategic goals of your organization, helping you to find the most effective and efficient ways to reach the goals of your organization through data-informed systems and decision making, and really creating that transparency around the data that I hear some strong perspectives and desires around. You
Go
can
ahead,
go
Chuck.
ahead. Yep, thank you. So this collaboration is designed to ensure that district goals remain actionable, progress is consistently monitored, and leadership is supported with timely data to drive improvements across schools. Tonight, I'll walk you through 5 key points about how we'll use this partnership to move from goals to impact in Deming. As I walk through these 5 points, I want to be clear about how this partnership is designed to also strengthen the board's line of sight from the strategic plan goals you approve to the superintendent's actions to the student outcomes you are charged with monitoring. We can go ahead and move into the next number 1 slide here. So a strategic plan should be driving the core work of your district and schools each and every day. Through a partnership with Everest, DPS will be strengthening your commitment to your district's mission and doubling down on your commitment to focusing on student-centered leadership and decision-making. You'll also be building the capacity for continuous improvement across your organization. This work also directly supports your superintendent evaluation framework. The same systems we use to refine goals and monitor implementation are the systems that allow the board to see progress on academic excellence, operations, leadership, communication, and safety using shared evidence rather than just antidotes. And so the partnership will utilize a 3-pronged strategy to align district initiatives with student success. Refinement of the strategic plan through collaborative sessions with leadership, staff, community, and focus groups to ensure that goals and strategies are student-centered, relevant, and actionable. Monthly monitoring of high impact strategies, focusing on real-time implementation tracking with monthly reports to support executive leadership and school leadership to guide continuous improvement. For example, when the superintendent is expected to present baseline academic data, intervention progress, or attendance systems, those reports will not be created from scratch. They'll come directly from the same monthly monitoring structures we will be supporting with your district leadership. And then quarterly strategic plan outcome monitoring. Board and leadership ready reporting on outcomes directly linking strategy implementation data with goal progress will also be a key component of this to create that transparency and openness with the data. On the screen, you see our planned milestones for the refinement of your strategic plan. Throughout the spring 2026 semester, we will refine the strategic plan through executive leadership sessions, community surveys, focus groups, and dialogue with leaders at the school and central office levels. In May 2026, the refined strategic plan would be presented to the board for review and finalization. At this meeting, the year-to-date outcome monitoring would be shared, leveraging the current student outcome data connected to key strategy implementation data to show how all of this data could also be connected. In July 2026, the updated strategic plan will be shared with staff and paired with leadership development to embed related continuous improvement practices into schools. These milestones intentionally align with your reporting expectations, so the board receives timely, comparable updates that support both oversight and evaluation. And so, as a result of this partnership, Deming Public Schools will see several important outcomes. First, district strategies and initiatives will be clearly aligned to the student outcomes outlined in the refined strategic plan. Second, the board will have clear visibility into the return on district investments of time, staff, and funding. For the board, return on investment is not just a financial formula, it is clarity about whether the strategies the district is investing in are producing the outcomes you expect, and clarity about when the adjustments are needed. Third, leadership decisions across the district will be informed by timely data on both strategy implementation and student outcomes, ensuring decisions are grounded in evidence rather than assumptions. And finally, this work strengthens a culture of continuous improvement where the district regularly reflects, learns, and refines its approach in service of all Deming students. And finally, Everest Analytics is excited to partner with Deming, serving as an extension of the superintendent's leadership team, helping the district to drive measurable progress in alignment with its commitment to equity, instructional quality, and whole child development. Being an extension of the leadership team does not mean replacing district decision making. It means strengthening the internal capacity so that over time, systems are clearer, more sustainable, and less dependent on individuals, but on the organization as a whole. And thanks so much for the opportunity to share with you all tonight. I'm truly excited for what's to come. I've had the pleasure of being in several of your schools, meeting with several of the leaders within the organization. And I can say for genuinely myself, but also everyone in our organization, we truly look forward to supporting not only the superintendent and staff, but also the board's governance role as this work unfolds. And I'll turn it back to you, Superintendent Wolgamuth.
I just want to also share, Stephanie was down here, got to go see the Veterans Day celebration RST, got to participate in some classroom visits in DIS. And one thing I do know about Stephanie is she's obviously from out of town and she loves coming to New Mexico. She wanted to be here tonight. So she's typically not a Zoomer. She's a visitor because what's your favorite thing to have down in New Mexico, Stephanie?
Oh my gosh, I get a craving and I need to have chicken enchiladas with green chili, sour cream, and onions. I've got to have it. And I haven't gotten my fill in a little bit. So I need it.
Come on down.
Yes.
Anyway, Stephanie and Everest have great expertise that I think can push us in the right direction. I know you may not have questions now for Stephanie, but should be happy to try to answer. I'll try to be happy to answer or at least take notes and get back to you on questions you may have.
Questions by the board?
What does refining the plan look like in reality?
So I think that there's a few options in that one of the ways that we have actually leveraged a similar process in another district within New Mexico was actually meeting with key groups of leaders, the board, the executive leadership team for the district, but then also principals and assistant principals from the schools, and then ultimately the staff from the schools, and really saying, in the current strategic plan, what do you all think is most impactful and most feasible? And so really going through and considering what's high impact and highly feasible to first take a high level look at that. Then when combining those perspectives with then other things around focus group information, community surveys, information from students, all of those different levels, it gives us the data to then really be able to say, do we want to scale back on strategies, do some of these things, or is really a truly like a new plan desired by the community and all of its stakeholders to truly represent the students of Deming Public Schools and their needs.
Thank you.
You talk about, what did you say? The biggest bang for our buck, just to paraphrase it, are you treating this good too for the biggest bang for our buck? I don't want to be the Grinch here, but I just want to make sure we're being treated good.
Yes,
Yeah,
you are. So I will share something with you because I am truly passionate about this work. And when we were looking about what is budgetarily possible for Deming Public Schools as an organization and thinking about what would be the greatest and most impactful work for the organization, I actually went to my CEO and advocated for a discount of our work around the strategic plan, and we've 100% discounted that because I strongly view this as the most critical work that's needed to drive continuous improvements and the vision of high quality instruction in a district. And I say that to you as a district leader and a district cabinet leader myself previously, knowing that this work is critical for really crafting the vision of the district based upon truly what the community and staff and board, every one of those stakeholders believes. So we believe in that so strongly, we have actually removed that as a cost for the district.
Well, thank
So
you for
no
that.
Grinches, it's okay.
Any other questions, comments by the board? Okay, well, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. We're looking forward to seeing you in person.
Yes, I can't wait to be with you all in person and begin this partnership in the work. So thank you so much. And thanks for your flexibility in allowing me to attend virtually this evening.
Thank you.
All right, so we're on to F. E. Okay. Creating a unified focus, core values, core purpose, and big goals.
So something that we've been working on that's related to all of this, working with each campus to create with their staff and students, and their leadership teams, a set of core values, core purpose, and big goals that can serve as a driving force for each campus. And a little bit of advertisement for each campus about what is this campus about. I'm gonna put my kid here at Deming High School, my kid here at Ruben Torres Elementary School. What is it that you can expect from us? So I want to make sure we shared out a little half and half today. So I'm gonna let Mr. Lozano start and share about the Wildcat Way. I think it says, right?
Yes, sir.
So come on up.
I need some assistance. So
I'll assist you.
You guys want a formal speech or you just want me to? Because I brought a speech.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. Be myself. Come on. So it's the speech then. That's me. So let me just rewrite. It looks like a lot, but I'm blind, so it's 14 points. So it's really so tonight I'd like to share a document that represents really a collaborative, community-driven effort at Deming High School. We call it the Wildcat Way. Our vision, our core values, and our big goals was developed with meaningful input from our staff, our core team, and parents from our PAC meeting. It reflects a shared expectation, shared language, and a unified commitment to our students. Our vision is simple and intentional: to empower every Wildcat to learn, to lead, and succeed with pride in school, in life, and our community. This vision guides not only what we teach, but how we build our culture, our relationships, and accountability across campus. At the core of the work, at the core of this work are Wildcat values, which translates beliefs into observable behaviors: work together, inspire integrity, learn and lead, do what's right, commit to grit, aim for excellence, and take pride. These values provide a common language for our students, our staff, and our families, and establish clear expectations for how we treat one another and how we approach learning. Importantly, this work has already moved beyond theory and into practice. The first department to implement the Wildcat Way was our DHS math department. During their end of semester math awards, they introduced the PI Award, recognizing students who exemplified our core values, not just academic achievement, but character, perseverance, collaboration, and integrity. This was a powerful example of how values-based recognition reinforces the behaviors we want to see across campus. Building the initial implementation, full school-wide rollout will occur next semester. Teachers will use the Wildcat Way as a guide for classroom management, positive student referrals, and consistent redirection of behavior. Rather than focusing solely on consequences, this framework allows our staff to reference shared expectations, reinforce positive behaviors, and redirect our students in a way that is aligned, predictable, and instructional. The Wildcat Way also aligns with our big goals.
ensuring every Wildcat graduates on time, prepared for college, career, or military service, and strengthening student engagement through our WIN classes, our athletics, our fine arts, and our extracurricular activities across DHS. So I want to sincerely thank our staff, our core team, our parents, and our DHS math department for their leadership, collaboration, in bringing this work to life. Deming High School is proud to be learning today, leading tomorrow. They'll walk that way. And I stand for the questions.
Okay, Charles couldn't see, Nick, yeah, see if I can disconnect.
Any clarifying questions for Jasper?
Nope. Thank you.
Thanks, good.
Good job.
Thank you.
Take that poster back, okay?
And going back to your 14 font?
Yeah, back to your 14 font.
I don't think that's an issue. I think it's age.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. That's right. Okay, Miss Mag, can tell us a little about RST.
Holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you approve this with Joe?
I bought him myself. I'm just gonna say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Hopefully Charles, you'll pull it up because I did not overachieve like Jasper and bring a poster. So great job.
Mr. President, Superintendent Wilgameth, the link is oh, never mind. I tried opening Gasper's and it brought me to a pre-K one, so let me.
Yeah, maybe I put the links on the wrong one, Charles. That was not your fault. Just, you're gonna find it eventually. I know it's in there. One of those is RST.
Let's see, that's Jessica's. Well,
While he's finding it, I'll tell you, ours has kind of been a work in progress for a little over a year because we brought in responsibility centered discipline to support student behaviors. So as a team, during in-service, we looked at all the things that are keeping our students from being successful and the skills that they would need to make that successful. And so our staff created our new mission, which is we rise by lifting others, and to build the purpose to build a community where everybody supports each other to success. And then the core values they identified as if students had these 4 skills, they could be more successful. So they're respect, self-control, perseverance, and accountability. And then we took them further and we created bullet points under each one that we can use with students as a teaching tool. For instance, self-control is making good choices even when it's hard. Hands and feet to self, stop, think, and act before you do, and stay calm. And perseverance is I learn from my mistakes and keep trying. I finish what I start, I do my best, and help me be able to do it myself. And so not just help me to get it done, but help me learn how to do it myself. The big goals we have for our school are all students will be independent readers, thinkers, and math problem solvers. To be a model school for life skills and positive behavior, because our students really need that in elementary to be successful later on. And that's one area that we find their struggles. And to celebrate diversity, cultural diversity, and promote inclusiveness. And so as a team, after we chose our 4 core value skills, we've been working with the core team to simplify it and really bring out those bullet points. And to start, what we have is our Wildcat cash or bucks. And so every grade level and department in our school is getting different color-coded Wildcat bucks. And students will be rewarded for demonstrating these skills at a high level. Like if they're caught doing something above and beyond what they normally would be expected to do. And we can keep data because the the Wildcat bucks are all in different colors, so we can see is certain grade levels doing it more or less, and then students will have the opportunity to redeem those in our school store on different kind of things that just positively rewards them for demonstrating and learning our core values.
Good, that's a great idea.
And what I'll do, Connie, I apologize, that link mistake was definitely mine. I'm the one that did that, but I'll make sure I leave those two for the board to review.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Thank you so
100%
much.
me.
This is my appreciation.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Cabrera, I know yours is there. Saw that one several times.
But I don't have a long speech. Oh, yeah. But I
I think Charles he's got it. He's there it is.
Okay, so for Memorial's core purpose, values and goals, our core purpose at the center is helping every child learn, belong and lead. Surrounding our core values, is kids at the center of every decision, learning first for daily student growth. Everyone belongs in a safe, welcoming community, better together through collaboration, and then leading with purpose by empowering our students and our staff. Our big goals are, they translate our values into action, which are measurable academic growth for every student. With that in mind, you know, every student deserves at least a year's growth. Having a safe, inclusive, positive school environment where everybody in the school feels welcome, and happy and, you know, safe. And then leadership development through responsibility and opportunities. So it's developing leaders in our school and making them productive citizens in the future. Any questions?
This looks great. And Jessica, I appreciate you, putting this together, and I'm glad yours was here.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Sandoval.
Right, Charles. Good evening. I just want to start off by saying that when I talk about my staff, I call them Team DIS. And so this was a collaborative effort between, everyone on Team DIS. And everyone had input, and we went to the drawing board and came back and came up with our core purpose and values. But I do want to point out the direct alignment between our purpose and our values, because they all go back to relationships. At our school, relationships drive everything that we do. So I was proud that we were able to see that alignment and create a purpose and values that go together. Now, when thinking about our big goals, we had some tough conversations because they're big goals. But the important thing is do we believe that they're attainable? Absolutely. So thinking about our big goal is 95% attendance rate, we're only a percentage point away from that right now.
Wow.
Now, reading proficiency, 75%, math, 70%. Are we far from that? Absolutely, we are. But I do want to point out that Superintendent Wilgamith and Learning Services team, we're doing the work and making changes and adjustments that I believe that we can get our students there. And a lot of that is going to come from the consistencies at the elementary schools, so that when we get our students from 6 different elementary schools, there's consistency and we know where they're at and we're not playing catch up. So I do applaud Superintendent Wilgamith and Learning Services for recognizing that, and for also the elementaries for being willing to put in that work. Any questions for DIS?
I like that proficiency, reading proficiency.
Yeah.
It's hugely important.
You can do it.
I like to make a comment because I know from experience, Mrs. Sandoval runs an amazing school and she runs a very tight ship. And it is very impressive.
I agree.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
I mean,
Yep.
high expectations, high expectations and they will rise to the high expectations. So I appreciate you guys,
Thank you.
pointing that out and thank you for your support.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, let's have My Little School next. Bet. Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
So good
Thank you, ma'am.
evening. They say you become what the group you work with. So ours is short and sweet, just like the attention span of a pre-K. So to this, we brought our team together at my little school and we just had some posters up and we just asked them some questions. What's our purpose here? With pre-K, what is our big goal? And what are some values that we have? How are we going to learn with students? And we just had them have an open discussion, put up post-its, and then we just brought everything together and culminated it into this document. And so our core purpose is to nurture the whole child and their love for learning by providing a safe, supportive, and engaging environment. And our core values, learning through play, relationships, exploration, and kindness. And you heard relationships talked about previously. It's huge. Kids need to learn how to solve problems. They don't come in knowing that, and we do that through purposeful play. And our big goal is for our students to leave prepared for kindergarten. Our program will present opportunities for students to pique their natural curiosity and creativity and promote the growth of language, social skills, and independence through purposeful play.
Awesome. Awesome.
Any questions?
Questions by the,
No,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay, tonight, Mr. Simpson. Talk about early college.
All right, I wanted to go first, not last, because I don't want to follow Gasper.
Oh, boy.
8 years ago, we started early college high school with 4 teachers, a secretary, and only half a principal. So, that shows you the importance of the principal. You needed those teachers. We had a fantastic core group, and it's nice to see that our purpose statement that we wrote 8 years ago stays consistent and true. And I was reflecting on that, looking at that we still feel like this reflects our purpose. From the beginning, we wanted to create students who were leaders in our community. We wanted to create students who engaged in community service, gave back to the community. And of course, we wanted to create a setting that emphasized academic achievement, that it was high expectation, rigorous academic, college preparatory instruction. And we felt like from the beginning that the root cause, the challenge that we needed to overcome was to be able to challenge students to want to learn, to want to achieve. That was the key to success, is to motivate students to actually try and do their best. And so, that's one of the reasons we became an AVID school. AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. So we're trying to reach that inner motivation of the student. And what's that look like when you have a student who chooses to pursue education and do the best? It looks like students who complete 90% of their courses. It looks like students who don't settle for D's, who get C's, B's, and A's. It looks like students that graduate from high school 100% of the time. It looks like students who earn an associate degree. And last year we were at 76% of our students in the associate degree. We would like to be 80. And if they don't get the associate, to get as many college credits towards the degree as they can, with the goal being, of course, a bachelor's degree. That's the core purpose, values, and goals of early college high school.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
And again, I just want to say, and to, board member Kroll and Ms. Paul, what a great group of leaders we have here in Deming Public Schools and principals that just do an awesome job and are here for the kids. So again, that's why I'm so excited, to be here as superintendent. It just, what a great group. President, that concludes that particular item. I think we have one more discussion item.
All right, 2026 legislative brief.
Okay, Mr. Turner. This, your turn. You left papers here just in case. You were smart.
I did. I left papers there for you guys, but I forgot to bring them home for myself, so I am going to use my little index card. Mr. President, members of the board, as you all know, Superintendent W, as you all know, the legislative session is getting ready to start. We have had a busy couple of weeks. Early last week, Superintendent Wolgamuth and I got to meet with Representative Jones to go over our legislative priorities and what we are asking for through capital outlay and through our grow funds. During that conversation, I talked with Mr. Wolgamuth and I said I wanted to kind of clarify what the difference was between capital outlay requests and what the grow funds are. Basically, capital outlay requests are for large scale projects over $60,000. And we've used those things in the past for the baseball outfield. And the grow funds is what we have previously called junior money. Those are funneled through the COG, the Council of Governments. And this year, it's no different. So for capital outlay, we are requesting money for improvements to Memorial Football Stadium. We want to focus on the ADA viewing platform where that ramp is over on the south side of the end zone. So the reason for that is we want to make sure all of our fans feel included. We want to make sure all of our students feel included. Mr. Wolgamuth noticed this through a conversation with community members. And so we really want to focus on making sure all of our students feel a part of the culture that Deming Public Schools brings. And so we're asking for funds to upgrade that. I found out through Miss Stoffer that the stadium was built in 1949. So the ramp and the platform are probably from the 50s or 60s. That I don't have proof of that, but I'm going to say probably. And so the ADA compliance isn't exactly there. It's a good effort for the time. But now that we have the resources that we can go out and fix these things, I think we should do that to make sure everybody feels included when coming out to any type of event at Memorial Stadium. One of the other things that we are asking for is through the Grow Fund, we're going to ask for $60,000 to start a automotive after school program. This is going to expose students to a program that we don't regularly offer through any of our high schools. It'll teach them a trade that is needed throughout the community. I'm sure if any of you have needed work on your car, you're either finding yourself driving out of town to go to the dealership, or you're waiting a while until there's room in a garage somewhere here in town. So we're gonna see if that picks up steam. Depending on that, maybe there'll be a conversation later on to add that into the courses offered there regularly at the high school and early college. With that, I'm going to dive into our district legislative priorities. Mr. Wolgamuth and I came up with these based on conversations that we have had with you guys. The first one is local governance and community-centered decision-making. I heard Mr. Kroll earlier say that PED kind of tries to pull the strings and manipulate what is done at the local level. Well, we think that school boards have the authority to set the calendars. Obviously, you're elected by the community, so you represent the districts that have put you in the chairs that you are, and we want to honor, the community's choices in electing representatives such as yourselves. The second one is improving state facility funding processes. We see a lot of improvements that are needed at buildings, and this is across the state. It's not just in Deming, but there are times where the decision is made: do we improve the building? Do we make the repairs that we need? Because then it's going to lower you in the rankings. For those of you who aren't familiar, there's a ranking system between PSFA that if you fall within a certain number and the number varies, you might get state participation. So you're seeing districts across the state make decisions that necessarily aren't in the best interest for the learning environment, but it's because they need that state match. Otherwise, they can't afford the project. So we're going to ask that the legislature review those things. Another one is the sustainable funding for employee health care. Last year, this board voted to move Deming Public Schools to a 80-20 split when it came to healthcare premiums. The state is going to be looking at making that a permanent thing across the state. What that'll do for Deming Public Schools, it won't really affect employees, but it'll affect the district because right now we're supplementing that with operational funds. Working with our finance department, I was able to learn that it's going to free up about $750,000 in operational funds that we can invest in other areas, whether it's in the classroom or experiences for our students, and that's quite a significant amount of money. So we're going to push forward on that. Another one is maintaining high need student supports amid the federal cuts. We don't know what to expect down the road from the feds. As you all know, we receive a lot of money through the various federal programs that this district has. But a lot of those programs support staff that then serve our most vulnerable populations. So we're going to ask that they look at increasing the SEG to kind of cover those gaps that we may see in the federal cuts. Another one is something that we hear Superintendent W say all the time, that we need safe, supportive, and accountable school environments. And I know President Orozco has said this, whether it's in meetings, one-on-one or out in the board meeting. We need to do something about the students that don't want to be in school, that make learning difficult for the students who want to be there. I know the board feels that way. And so we're asking them to not necessarily look at increasing funding for schools, because a lot of times our partners in this are not part of the educational world. So they need to look at increasing the funding for state agencies that address things like chronic absenteeism, juvenile violence, and negligent guardians. That's what's really going to help the learning environment, is making sure that the students that need extra supports outside of the classroom are getting the extra supports outside of the classroom from the agencies that are responsible for giving them those supports. The last two, stability and state education leadership. This is something that the Deming School Board has pushed for a couple of years. Reestablishing the State Board of Education. We've seen the turnover in the public education department when it comes to the secretary. I think this governor is on like number 6. But if we go back to the pre-PED era, where we have a state board and a state superintendent, that'll give us some stability there, and it'll reduce disruption to school districts. And as Mr. Orozco highlighted earlier, I believe when Ms. Sandoval was presenting, we want to strengthen literacy supports and family engagement. And the big part is making sure the families are engaged in this whole process. We've heard about that a couple of different times with Mr. Wyman's presentation as well. But we want to expand on evidence-based literacy interventions, and we want to make sure that parents are involved in that process. We're going up to Santa Fe in February. We are starting our legislative primer, as I like to call it now. That way our legislators, and I'll be reaching out to legislators that I know across the state to share this with them. But that's what Deming Public Schools is going to be pushing for legislatively. And then our capital projects and our grow requests, those have already been submitted, and we'll see how that shakes out. I stand for any questions.
Questions, comments by the board? None. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, on to action items. Mr. Adcock, you're up. Consideration to approve budget adjustment requests.
Mr. President, members of the board, superintendent, so you have 4 bars for your approval. The first one is Title I. We're moving, again, this is a transfer bar. We're just moving money around, or budget around to cover, as we go through the year, things change and things adjust a little bit. And so this is just to cover those. The number 5 is from Idea B, and it's moving salaries and benefits, but it's just moving it within different functions. It's not moving anything other than those salaries and benefits. Number 6 is our educational technology debt service. So we've talked about it in the board approved getting a tech bond for the district. Well, part of what we're doing is we're collecting those fees, those taxes now. And so we have to have budget authority in order to pay those collection fees to the county. First collect the money and then have it available. So in next May or June, we can turn that into a bond and get that paid off. So that's what this number 6 does. Number 7, over the last several board meetings, we've talked about the CLSD grant. And there was some improvement or some increases of changes that we made. What this one is it's a new MOU from October 1. The federal fiscal year, basically, it took the state going through the rec, Southwest Rec, some time to get all of the paperwork in order for this, and we now have that. And so now we're asking for budget approval on that. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I still move.
I'll second.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron?
Yes.
Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley?
Yes.
Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
All right. Action item B, consideration to approve final annual report from Deming Cesar Chavez Charter High School. Sam Gonzalez is on Zoom.
Yeah, Mr. President, we have Sam Gonzalez on Zoom. We have Mr. Masters here in the audience. This is, you already received the information in this report a few months ago. You did a preliminary approval. And Sam will clarify this, but I think we're just missing the Vistas information that needed to be in there. For the board to consider action to make it final. So I'll let you take it from there, Sam.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. So good evening, President Roscoe and members of the board and superintendent. It's nice to see you all again. I'm here to let you know that I have in fact finalized the school year 24-25 annual monitoring report for Deming Cesar Chavez Charter High School. I updated the error where there was like duplicative data for the mission specific goals. So now it's delineated between the goal for seniors as well as the goal for grades 9 through 11. I've added in summative proficiency data as well as graduation cohort data, and I was able to finalize the rating for assessment participation. I did provide general ratings at would you mind just scrolling all the way to the bottom for me? Thank you so much. So you'll be able to see that all the ratings have been finalized, and overall the school is not meeting standard for academics. It is in fact meeting the standard for its organizational performance and is working to meet the standard for its financial compliance for school year 24-25.
Charles, will you scroll up just a little bit, please? See as much of that table as possible. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Charles. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sam. I just wanted to have that adjustment made for the board.
Oh, no, that's quite all right. And so my suggestion is that for the current school year, when we do annual monitoring, we work to set goals to improve academic outcomes and then watch closely towards the school's timeliness in regard to its financial compliance and reporting for quarterly reporting. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have on this annual report.
What piece of the financial part was not compliant or was not did not meet that standard guess.
That's so they were working to meet standard for their finances, and it was their timeliness regarding reporting, their quarterly reporting.
So the PED quarterly reporting that has to go in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So whose responsibility is it to make sure that that happens going forward?
That would be the school's business manager.
Okay.
The questions by the board? Okay. So this is something that we could meet on down the road and discuss further in depth, I guess, as to how we can try to get in compliance or better compliance.
Absolutely. Mr. Roscoe, I know that, believe that some recent action was taken by the Charter Governing Board, for an, interim charter director. So I think we're in a good position now to move forward on this. And obviously we'll definitely loop in Sam, to that conversation as she kind of, has been working through, both different, the crack, previous leadership, the transition, and we'll be working with this new leadership. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Any other questions for me?
Don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
So with that, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the final annual report from Deming Cesar Chavez Charter High School.
I'll second.
Mr. Kroll.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez.
Yeah.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Crumley.
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Okay. And on to item C, consideration to adopt a resolution authorizing the disposal of technology items through public auction. Mr. Glickler, do you want to press the play button on the recording that you have?
President Orozco, members of the board, superintendent Walden, this is a request for approval for the technology department to dispose by auction of 284 items. We put together on a list for you. Of those 284, all of them are fully depreciated. I don't know finance stuff, but that sounds like from the point of view of the district, there were $0. Of those 284 items, 256 of them are laptops, and of those 256 laptops, 233 of those are laptops that we purchased in 2020 as part of that quarantine era laptop purchase. Just to give you an idea of the number that are being phased out of the district. I mentioned that number not only to say that we're getting rid of a lot of those, but also to give myself an opportunity to say kudos to the principals who are really being thoughtful about their funding and replenishing the devices, and also to the finance department for acquiring extra funds for us to start replenishing those going forward. Of the items that we have on the list, only 6 of them are over $1,000, and of those 6 items, 4 of them are projectors that are broken, and in any case, they are all from the years 2006 to 2013, so I don't think we want them anyway. With that, I stand for any questions.
Any questions by the board? Now I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution, authorizing disposal of the technology items through public auctions.
I'll second that.
Mr. Kroll.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez.
Yes.
Mr. Orozco,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Glickler.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See most of you next meeting for the same thing.
All right.
You too.
Dismissed. On to item E, consideration to approve an amendment to the fleet service agreement with M&T Buses Inc. and Haynes Buses Inc., specifically section 12, safety. Mrs. Bubba.
Good evening, Superintendent W, President Roscoe, and members of the board. I'm here this evening to request your approval of an amendment to the fleet service contract with MNT Buses Incorporated and Haynes Buses Incorporated. This request consists of adding clarifying language that defines the district's responsibility for the installation, maintenance, repairs, and access related to the district-owned two-way radio systems. We have the cameras in there, we just didn't have the two-way radios in them, and so we want to add that. So the language can be found on pages 5 and 6 on both the contract schemes and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Question on the? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the amendment to complete service agreements with M&T Buses Incorporated and Haynes Buses Incorporated, specifically section 12 safety.
I'll second.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley,
Yes,
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
On to item F, consideration to approve the removal of the previously adopted Early College High School University aligned 2025-2026 academic calendar and affirm that all K-12 schools within Deming Public Schools will follow the district-wide 2025-2026 academic calendar approved on February 20th, 2025.
Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. Reinhardt and Mr. Wyman are gonna help with this. This is, some action you've already taken, and, the PED has been doing some, reviewing of, published calendars online that were there for a minute. And, have a little misunderstanding that we're still using the, early college calendar you approved, versus the new one that you, the one that we took away. So I'll let Ms. Reinhardt kind of explain this thing.
Okay, President Orozco, members of the board, Superintendent Wagner, we come to you today. You're gonna see two calendars. The one that says 2025-26 K-12 school calendar. This is the calendar that you approved on February 20th, 2025. Then in March, the second calendar that you see, the 2025-26 ECHS University Aligned Calendar. This was created by Mr. Simpson in order to build some transparency for parents that are in the dual credit classes. They wanted them to know the university schedule. Unfortunately, we cannot post this schedule on our website because these students are still required to follow the K-12 school calendar. And so that's what happened when the PED pulled this from our website. It brought up some discrepancies about these students. These students are going to school. Thank you, Mr. Simpson, for making those adjustments right away. He was very flexible. He made sure that all of our students at ECHS follow this school calendar in July. But we had to remove this one from our website. Thank you, Jessica, for removing that from our website. And now we just need you guys to approve that all students will be following the K-12 school calendar that you approved February 20th. 2025. And we stand here for any questions.
Any questions on the board? That was pretty clear.
That was very clear.
So does early college high school, they don't have flexibility because I guess I was under the assumption that they had more flexibility to design a calendar like this, which is why there was a different one.
So part of the issue was that the injunction, right, that he was talking about earlier with the calendar, and we have to consider moving forward, took away the ability for us to have there used to be a cutout for early colleges to have a different schedule aligned to the universities. But with that court hearing and court ruling, an injunction was taken out with all of these other pieces. And so there no longer is that.
Right, member, Vice President Cummings, right now they have to go 1140 hours. And that's kind of what was sort of
Yes.
coming up in the calculations from the PED. They were saying, well, this calendar you had posted online doesn't look like it's 1140 hours. And we said, no, that they're coming 1140 hours on the K-12 one. And so that's where I'm at. And I will continue to argue if the PED asks me, alternative schools and early college high schools need to be able to make their own schedules.
I agree.
I'm sorry, so so the action we're looking for again, as Ms. Reinhardt said, is action, certifying that all Deming Public School students are, attending the K-12 calendar that was approved by the board in February of 2025.
Yes.
So I will entertain a motion for that.
Approval is this, that's on.
No, ma'am, the approval is what.
Yeah, just as I stated.
Okay, second,
I'll second that.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mrs. Paez. Mrs. Crumley,
No,
Mrs. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. On to item 11, board announcements and requests for items. Board member requests for items / information for the next meeting. The next regular meeting will be held January 15th. 2025 at 5:30 PM. The meeting will be held at the Shakti Administration Building, 400 Cody Road. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Cole.
Yes. This is Cameron.
Yes.
This is Paez.
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mrs. Crumley.
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
With that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.